Happy birthday, Frontierland! It was run around in this location where the dedication for Frontierland took place. Fess Parker, as Davy Crockett, stood around in this area right over here, where the edge of the rivers of America is where the edge of Frontierland was. Where New Orleans Square is, that was like a Indian camp up there where they'd have Indian dancers and then the Indian culture. It was all still in the Frontierland theme. Columbia wasn't built until years later. So on opening day, the only real attractions that they had was the Mark Twain and the Golden Horseshoe Saloon. The Mark Twain was part of Walt's original plan when he decided to build a park that was originally going to be right across the street from his studios in Burbank. The Maiden Voyage was on July 13th, 1955, 4 days before the opening of Disneyland. The Maiden Voyage was for Walt and Lillian's 30th wedding anniversary. Mark Twain was the first paddle wheel to be constructed in over 50 years. 1905 was the last time that they had built a paddle boat before Walt Disney built the Mark Twain. On opening day, the only attraction in Adventureland was the Jungle Cruise. In the 61 years since Disneyland opened, the Jungle Cruise, the jungles of Jungle Cruise, have actually grown bigger into what is actually a jungle now.
Oh, and over there to our left-hand side is a 500-pound Indo-Chinese tiger. You guys know why tigers have stripes? So he can avoid being spotted.
Now when you go on the Jungle Cruise, try and imagine them not being funny and with the jokes and the puns. Up until 1962, I believe it was, they didn't do that. It was strictly like a documentary, like a real-life adventure that you were on. That's what the inspiration was for the Jungle Cruise. It was a combination of the real-life adventures that Walt did and the African Queen with Humphrey Bogart and Katharine Hepburn. Now, the boats themselves are modeled as closely after the African Queen. Check out that movie; it's actually pretty cool.
Over here to our left, my buddy Sam. You could say he's the head salesman here in the jungle. Yes. He has a special going on just for my boat today. 2 heads for one of yours. Either way you slice it, you'll always come up ahead. Alrighty guys, here comes the scariest part of my entire tour, and that is the return to civilization.
Now what's really cool about the Jungle Cruise is that even though it's 61 years old, it's still practically the same ride as it was to the visitors on the first day Disneyland's opening. If you've ever wondered what the oldest structure or the very first thing that was built here at Disneyland was, it's right behind me. Happy birthday, Opera House. Although back then, it didn't have Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln. That didn't come until 1965. This was the first structure that was built, and it was used as a lumber mill to build all the other structures in Disneyland. So the oldest thing at Disneyland is the Opera House. Since the day the park opened, Steamboat Willie has been playing continuously in the Main Street Cinema. The other 5 silent animations are rotated out every once in a while so that they're different all the time, but the one that is always a constant is Steamboat Willie. Here's a little bit of trivia. Steamboat Willie was not Mickey Mouse's first appearance. Steamboat Willie was actually the second animated debut of Mickey Mouse, but it's the first with sound. The first one was actually Playing Crazy, but that was actually just a test we're testing out the new character, and that was released 6 months later, or 4 months later, or 5 months later. It was released second. Here's another little bit of trivia. Steamboat Willie, Mickey Mouse, was Walt Disney himself doing the voice. So anyways, you can check out what people on opening day were able to see as well, and experience it as they did, seeing Steamboat Willie at Main Street Cinema. Walt had an apartment built above the firehouse so that he could watch the progress as Disneyland was getting built. And it's been said that on opening day, Walt and some of the Mouseketeers stood up in his apartment and looked out the window and watched as the guests filled Main Street. I'm looking for the fire engine. A little bit of trivia about the fire engine is that Walt supposedly used to drive that around the park before the park would open up. And like I said, see if that's opening day and actually Walt drove that, I have to ride that on the anniversary of opening day.
Folks, we're going to be going 998 feet 6 inches up the castle, and you got to stay seated. We're going to be hitting speeds upwards of 5 miles an hour. Yeah. If that's too scary for you, just do what I do and close your eyes. You're riding in a replica of a 1916 American LaFrance fire engine. It was built in 1958 at about 5/8 scale. This was one of Walt's favorite vehicles to drive around the park early in the morning. And we need someone to ring the bell in the back there. Ring the bell. That. Get everybody out of the way, okay? Here we go. Thank you now. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Okay, so I was wrong. It wasn't, the fire engine wasn't here on opening day, but 3 years later. This is the last of the original rides that I need to go on for today. So I better get in line for that. For the last ride of the list of rides that were here on opening day. It's the Mad Tea Party. And of course, I would wait to make this the very last ride. Okay, so back when the park first opened, they didn't have a limiter on here, so you could spin it as fast as you can. Although I'm probably not spinning it as fast as I probably can go because I'm only doing it with one hand. There's a couple things about the Disneyland teacups that are different than the other teacups at other Disney properties. This one isn't covered. I believe it's the only one that's not covered from the elements, like for rain. Okay, so there we have it. All of the rides that are still in the park today that were here on opening day, July 17th, 1955. So I hope you've enjoyed this little trip of revisiting what it was like on opening day. Of course, there was a lot of differences. Opening day was extremely hot. People, the pavement, people weren't sinking into the pavement on today as they were back then. And I don't mean like sinking like quicksand, but the pavement like on Main Street, that was laid in place the day of or the day before the park opened. So it still wasn't completely dry yet. And then with the heat of that July sun beating down on it, it's just women in high heels that sink into the asphalt. So none of that happened today. It was hot because another one of my brilliant ideas was, since they didn't have running water at the drinking fountains, I'm not going to drink water. I'm just going to drink soda. I'm going to do it exactly how the park was on that day. Well, I made that mistake, and even right now, I actually am going to get myself a bottle of water, but because you can never be too hydrated. Can I get a bottle of water, please? I'm in the process of buying water right now. You have a good day. Okay, so now I got my bottle of water, and it was a fun day. Today was the very first time that I've been at Disneyland on the anniversary of opening day. And I know there's a lot of people that want to thank Walt Disney for what he did with this, with inspiration, even if he didn't build the park, just from his animated movies. I know he didn't like them called cartoons because they weren't cartoons. They were beyond cartoons. They were actual animations. They were actual movies. They were characters that made you feel instead of just slapstick. I think that's what resonated in Mickey Mouse, and you know why he became so popular, and then it grew into this this wonderful land, Disneyland, that I am visiting today, and that thousands and thousands of others are visiting as well each day, not only just today. So this might be my sign off for this vlog. It might not. Who knows? I'll decide that when I edit. But you guys have fun and stay awesome. And I won't see you. You guys will see me again real soon. Take care.